From being directed by the same directors behind 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, and Into the Spider-Verse, to the involvement of Jonathan Majors, 48 Hours in Vegas may just become a hit. Starting with, what's it about? In case you haven't heard of the film until just now, 48 Hours in Vegas will be dramatizing a period in a very famous sportsman's life. It's going to be following the insane adventures of Chicago Bulls hooper Dennis Rodman in Sin City. Rodman was known for showing a whole generation of kids just how crazy can get. One of the most famous one of the NBA star's anecdotes included the legend of his Las Vegas bender. It was allegedly a 48-hour Carmen Electra starring period that ended with Michael Jordan himself dragging Rodman's back home. All the while, Electra hid behind the couch in some state of undress. Allegedly. And this will be a must-watch, because when news of the film adaptation first came out, some interesting names were linked to the project. Rodman himself was all set to serve as a consultant and executive producer. Wouldn't be his first foray. How can anyone forget the 1998 classic Double Team, featuring a ton of basketball puns, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and even a partially naked Mickey Rourke chilling with a tiger at the Roman Colosseum, which, by the way, just so happens to be rigged with explosives. Now, that sounds like a hangover movie. Needless to say, 48 Hours in Vegas has a tough act to follow, but it seems like they might just outdo Rodman's previous project. After aggressively pursuing rights, Lionsgate finally acquired them in 2021 and came onto the spec 48 Hours in Vegas. The film is going to detail a budding friendship between Dennis Rodman and his assistant GM in the middle of the 1998 NBA Finals. A super unlikely friendship that neither one of them ever thought possible, but one that ends up solving both of their problems. The film is going to be produced by Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Aditya Su. Ari Lubit, Will Allegra, and Rodman will serve as executive producers. And the screenplay is going to be written by Jordan Vandina. And well, it's not fictional, because everybody already knows about rumors of the crazy story when it happened in the 90s. But it was only recently dragged into the spotlight again, following the success of Michael Jordan's documentary, The Last Dance. The incident was given the full treatment in the documentary. Everyone from Jordan to Coach Phil Jackson to Carmen Electra was talking about what happened on Rodman's trip, all while the Bulls were trying to complete their second three-peat championship run. The script was penned during the pandemic, and then, once it hit the market, Lionsgate immediately became interested. They were head over heels in love with the idea, as well as all the crazy characters involved in the story, so they pushed hard to land the rights. Eventually, Bonnie Stylites closed the deal for the studio. Now, a couple of months later, the hype is back, especially since the man himself personally confirmed his attachment to the project. Up till now, Jonathan Majors portraying Dennis Rodman was just a rumbling, but now Majors himself has confirmed the news. Before the interview for Creed 3, which was when he made the statement, he had alluded to the possibility of speaking with Rodman. Here's what he said: "It's on my list. I know where he's at, and I think he's open-hearted and wants to collaborate." And lucky him, he actually landed the role.
Did you know the story?
I did not know the story. I knew the war, but didn't know the story. That was the blessing this guy gave by bringing the script to my attention and bringing Jesse Brown to my attention. Yeah, big time.
This isn't the only big project Majors has gotten to be a part of. In fact, in just the past 3 months, he's garnered widespread praise for his Sundance premiere of Magazine Dreams. But his success shows no signs of peaking anytime soon. Just a few days after Creed 3 posted a record-breaking $58 million opening weekend, news broke that the popular actor was signing up for more projects. High-profile ones, in fact. One of them was going to be The Understudy, a story of backstage obsession and jealousy on Broadway, and the second, 48 Hours in Vegas. From his imposing physique to his punctuated vocal style, I'm sure Majors will have no trouble playing Rodman.
I think, as we know, with fear, there is a fight or flight or freeze, none of which is going to help me on set.
As an actor approaching it, you look at the hero and what is the hero's journey and where is he going, you know? And again, through conversation, we knew.
Speaking with the Associated Press, Majors said that he never puts a ceiling on himself. He added that this was going to be a role where he'd be pushing that ceiling out because of how demanding playing Rodman would be. Now that we know everything there is to know about the movie's production, let's get into the story it will be involving. Like I said, the film is going to document a wild Sin City adventure, one that Rodman embarked on after asking head coach Phil Jackson for a mid-season break. All while Scottie Pippen was out, Dennis acted like a model citizen. After a certain point, he'd had enough and just needed to cut loose. So when Scottie came back, Dennis wanted a vacation to do just that. And cut loose he did. Jackson gave him 48 hours to relax. That turned into 4 days that Rodman spent living it up in Las Vegas with then-girlfriend Carmen Electra and a group of friends. According to many people, there's nobody on earth who is more fun than Dennis Rodman, especially back in 1998. He just knew how to party right. The managers knew that Rodman needed some rope before he could get back and play his best. But there was at least one person who was against the idea. Jackson understood that Rodman had different needs in his personal life. He felt that he'd be a better player for the Bulls if he could be himself off the court. But Michael Jordan was against the idea. He felt that Rodman wouldn't make it back in time. He told Jackson that there was zero chance that Rodman would return in 48 hours. The five-time MVP recounted the January 1998 conversation at the end of the Last Dance docuseries. And just as Jordan predicted, the two-time Defensive Player of the Year didn't honor his initial agreement. Rodman was living his best life in Sin City and lost track of time. He even partied in Chicago. The man only came back to the Bulls because Jordan showed up at his apartment and dragged him back to practice. And it wasn't pretty. According to the Last Dance director Jason Ayer, Jordan actually went up to Rodman's apartment in Chicago. He went with the Bulls' athletic trainer and grabbed Rodman by the nose ring. Ouch! And dragged him back. The whole while, Electra was hiding behind a piece of furniture with no clothes on. Jordan said that he did what he had to do because Rodman didn't make it back in time. At the same time, though, he didn't disclose what else was going on in the athlete's apartment. Jordan was probably the only one who could have dragged Rodman back to practice. He was definitely pissed off enough to do it. He became even angrier when Jackson made the entire team participate in the Indian drill to help Rodman get back in shape. Jordan was already in great shape, so he didn't want or need to do it. He told his teammates to jog, but everyone had to run when Rodman got to the front because he controlled the pace. Nobody else had just gotten back from a vacation, so nobody else was too happy about the extra work they had to put in. But still, they all relished playing with Rodman, so no one really complained. Rodman's lucky he played when he did, because there's no way in he'd be able to pull something like this off during the season in today's NBA. That's all I've got for you today on everything we have so far on the 48 Hours in Vegas movie.